Hi everybody, Greg Herron here, and you're watching the third in a series of 4 videos all about percussion brought to you by the Maryland Symphony Orchestra. In this video we're going to talk about 2 of the most played concert percussion instruments, and those are the tambourine and the triangle. So let's get right to it with the tambourine here. 4 fingers underneath, holding the shell, the thumb over top. Very simple. Now which hand do you hold it in? That's really up to you. If you hold it right, I'm a righty, so I hold it in my left hand, but that's not to say that all right-handed people hold it in their left hand. So the hand that holds it is going to have to shake it for the rolls. So that's going to take some practice. And the hand that is free is going to play your rhythms. So whichever hand you choose to hold it in, you're going to have to practice shaking with that hand, and whichever hand you're not holding in, you're going to have to practice playing rhythms with that. So we want to hold the tambourine at a 45-degree angle. If we hold it flat, we get a little bit of jingle noise after the strike. If we hold it straight up and down, it's a very washy sound. It's a pretty sound, but it's not very articulate. So if we hold it at 45-degree angle, it's very dry and our rhythms will come out very clean. All right, so when we have to play loud rhythms, we want to use either our fist, made like this, so we're wrapping the head with our knuckles here, or what I call the bird beak, which is 2 fingers supported by your thumb. So that's for playing your loud rhythms. Your loud roll is what's called a shake roll. It starts and ends with a hit, so it has a point at the beginning of the sound and a point at the end of the sound, so it's very concise. So I hit the instrument, and then I turn it upright because that lets the jingles ring a lot, so that's what we want on this, and I shake it back and forth, but I don't make a big motion. I make a very small motion. So here's the roll. Start with a hit, shake, upright, end with a hit, return to 45 degrees. Okay, so those are your loud rhythms and your loud rolls. Now let's talk about playing softly. What I do is I make the bird beak, I go out to the edge over the wooden shell, and I find where a pair of jingles are and I play right over that. It gives me a beautiful, soft, clear, crisp tone. Now, here's the one that drives everybody nuts. The soft roll, our long tone for soft sounds. Some people play that with their thumb. It's called a thumb roll. And you just slide the thumb along the edge of the tambourine, and the friction between your thumb and the head vibrates the instrument. Now I tend to play that with the finger. Okay? Whichever way you choose, one isn't better than the other. Just find one that you like and stick with it. The roll needs a start, and that's usually when you contact. And then it needs the sustain, the motion, and it needs to finish. So I use the heel of my palm. The same thing works for thumb. Start, roll, and you turn it over. So, like I said, try both of them. Whichever one works for you, great, stick with it. Most people treat their head, the head of their tambourine, with some kind of tacky substance. I use beeswax. Some people use rosin, like string players use on their bows. Some people will even use a very, very light grit sandpaper. I don't really like that because you can only practice so much until it starts to wear away at you a little bit. So I would say try the beeswax or the rosin first, and if they work for you, great. If not, maybe try something else. So now let's talk about playing fast rhythms. Obviously, I only have one hand to play the rhythm, so it can only go so fast. Much faster than that, meaning those quick notes, da-da-da, I'm not going to be able to do it. So I use a technique called knee fist. Now if you saw my bass drum video earlier, you remember this little table that I have here. And if you don't have a little table, a small crate or a chair is going to work just fine. But you put your foot up on something, raising your knee, and you oscillate the tambourine in between your fist or your bird beak and your knee cap. So I'm bending my hand down, bringing the instrument to my kneecap. So just start like that, very slowly, playing alternating rhythm. Just Just like we worked on single strokes on the snare drum, we'll work on single strokes alternating between the hand and the knee. So once you can do it at your starting tempo, go a little faster, etc., etc. Okay? So those are fast rhythms. Now how do I play fast rhythms soft? I put the tambourine down on the upper part of my leg, I hold it with my forearms, and I play with a double bird beak on the shell. Okay, so those are the techniques that are going to get you through most of the parts you're going to come across. You practice those, and you're going to feel very comfortable on the tambourine. Now let's go on to triangle. Okay, now let's talk about the triangle. Here I have a triangle, and to hold it I have this, which is just called the triangle clip. It opens at one end. If you need to, you can put that on the bottom of a music stand and hang your triangle. I don't really like to do that a lot because if I mount the triangle on a music stand and I play it, the stand vibrates a little bit and I get some extra noise. So if at all possible, play the triangle while holding it up. So now I'm putting the triangle on the clip, and just like the tambourine, you want to pick which hand you're going to hold it in and just do that all the time so you get used to your method of doing it. You develop a consistent way of playing the instrument so you know the sound that's going to come out and you know exactly how to make that sound. Okay, so here's how I hold the triangle with a clip like this. I keep my fingers apart, 2 and 2, and I put the beak, kind of looks like a bird beak, in between those fingers, and I put the thumb in the back. Now you can see that my fingers and thumb and palm, they're not touching the instrument. Just like on cymbals, we don't want a lot of contact because it's going to hamper the resonance of the instrument. Okay, so that's basically how I hold it, but you know that the triangle obviously has 3 sides because it's a triangle, but there's a break, there's a hole in between 2 of the arms. You want that hole going out to your outside. You don't want it to your inside. And the reason why is we are going to play in this corner, and if we play in the corner with a hole, it's a little more awkward. So that's basically how we want to hold the triangle. It'll resonate really well for us, and we're in a position to play whatever we need to play. Now, you've heard me talk about holding instruments at 45 degrees, right? That's been a common number for us with cymbals, with tambourine, and now with triangle as well. I'm going to strike that bottom arm with my triangle beater at a 45-degree angle. What that's going to do is going to give me the most overtones I can get out of the triangle. And what that means is we don't want a specific pitch like a flute or an oboe plays a definite pitch where the fundamental of that note is what our ears pick up and what we would sing back if we were trying to mimic the sound. Now with the triangle we don't want that because let's say we have one triangle and if we get one note out of it, it may match the piece of music that we're playing, it may not. And if it doesn't, it's going to sound terrible. So we want as many overtones coming out of this instrument as possible so it will mix with as many different chord combinations and melodic notes that are going to be played in the band. Okay, or orchestra. All right, so I'm going to play the instrument at a 45-degree angle on the bottom arm. And you hear all sorts of notes coming out of that instrument, and that's going to work very well for us. So those are our single notes. Now what happens if I want a note to sustain a very long time? Well, then I roll, and what I do is I roll in this corner. When I want to play softly, I use a smaller motion covering less space. And as I want to get louder, I use a bigger motion and I cover more space. So soft in here. If you know those 2 things, you're going to get a great sound on your instrument and you're going to make your band or orchestra or percussion ensemble sound that much better. Now let's talk about if we have to play really fast rhythms. Well, the easiest way is to mount a triangle on something like this. This is a little hanger made by Grover Pro Percussion. but a lot of my colleagues have made their own. It just has two loops that hold the triangle. Nothing crazy. And you take two triangle beaters and you play at a 45-degree angle again on the instrument. And if you want to roll, you just alternate your hands quickly. And that concludes our discussion on the triangle. What I'd like to finish this video with is a duet between the tambourine and triangle to show you some of the techniques in action that I talked about, and I'll throw a couple that I didn't talk about in there as well. Now, if you have any questions about this video or anything concerning percussion, please shoot me an email at the email address below. Also, check out the Maryland Symphony's website to see what they're up to. And thank you so much for watching this third video in our series of 4, and I hope to see you back in number 4. Thank you. 2, 1, 2.